Hello, here we are. I'm in China. Marcus Allen Frishman, you're not.
Well, I'm Marcus Allen Frishman, and you're not. Happy days, Archie.
Happy days. It's actually Father's Day in Australia. So to all the Australians watching, happy Father's Day there. I believe it's a different day for Americans. It's in September sometime.
Yeah,
So
it's far away. Father's Day.
It's far away.
And my father, of course, is dead. We'll talk about him when he get closer. He was a wonderful man.
Yes, correct. He did a lot for you.
Yeah.
Marcus, we were just chatting, a bit of banter before the show started, and today you want to talk about success. And I want to ask you, before we start this topic, what is success?
Well, there's different elements of success, and there's different components that get you there. But I have been personally successful in my life. I like to joke, people.
I think you have. Actually, I'll tell you something, Marcus. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, but I think, you have been very successful. You've tried your hand at many crafts. You have had some extensive travel. You've had an interesting career. You've had some material success. Mm-hmm. You've also had some very good friendship success. Like you told me the story of that lady, that mm-hmm. old lady who you used to visit. Friendship. And incredible, you learned a lot of wisdom. And I've got to say, with you, although there are certain material goals you follow, I don't think money is the only thing that drives. In fact, I think you are possibly you want enough money to enjoy the things that you want, but you're not overextending yourself with effort and energy to just hoard money itself there. And I would say you are a very successful man. You've had a string of interesting jobs. You've also you've done so many things. How does one define? Can I say something to you that's a little bit nasty or not?
Sure. Nastiness is just disagreement unless it's hate. Go ahead. And I know you.
I got to tell you this. I went to America twice. I have been twice. The first time I had a look around, and I would have to say, tell me if you think I'm wrong in this. If you were to put a dollar figure on success, I think the figure would be $1 million US. Okay. And I've done some homework for this show today, Marcus. The interesting thing is, in America, I believe the number of millionaires, that's people worth US $1 million, is sort of 1 in 10 or 1 in 9, 10, it's about 10% of the.
Are you talking about assets, income, or
I am talking everything. All your assets minus all your liabilities.
Oh.
Asset minus liability equals what's left over.
Well, Archie, you'd be surprised, before we get in depth into the tactics of success, to respond to your comment, you'd be surprised at how rich you have to be the 1%, 2% in America. But here's what the shocking stat.
Here's a statistic. Approximately 20% of Americans are reported to have a net worth exceeding $1 million. There you go, 20%.
It dropped. The income ratio, the 1%ers who are making hundreds of millions of dollars a year, there are so few of them. The number is close to being under 8,000 people. But the moment you move those percentages down to 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%, guess who you hit? You hit me. Now, people like me are not considered part of the super rich in America. We're considered
No.
wealthy, even upper middle class, because the percentages are so significant with each percentage. So it's very easy in America to have a good job, just a simple good job as an employee or as a small business owner, and be in the 6 to 10 top 10% income earners. All right. So that's how easy it is. But it is very hard to move up to that 3, 2, 1%. And all you have to do is do a quick internet search and see the numbers, and you'll see what I mean. But success, now look, a lot of success lecturers, if you watch,
yes,
the TED speeches and all the wisdom on the
I
internet.
love the TED speeches, by the way.
They're great. I love them too. I don't know why I'm never invited. But anyway, so these people, these quote successful people, presumably more successful than me, admittedly. But here's their problem. They're giving advice that success is based on drive, passion, effort, working hard. Now, we're not talking about only income success. We're talking about, I am anyway, talking about success in love, in friendship, in buying a new car, in
Sure.
whatever transaction that requires you to be successful, all the way down to, gardening in the backyard. But the point is, it's not true. It's not true that it's necessary to have drive and passion and work 60 hours instead of 40 hours, 40 hours instead of 30 hours to be successful. I've never done that. I'm a man, I look passionate. I'm a man without passion. I'm a man that has not had goals in life. I have had very few. It's really not what has driven me to success. And I've had success in love, success in finance, success in everything I've touched my hand on. And I've blown away so many opportunities of offers of success that I could list here, that I've listed in other videos. But here's the key. You have to come up with a tactical plan to have success. And whether it's ending an argument with your partner, that takes a tactical move, and that becomes a successful endeavor. You don't need goals, and you don't need to spend much time with it. You have to be wise, and you have to be focused. Those are important. I am focused. I'm told from people that these are what other people have said about me, and now I repeat it, that I'm tenacious. I'm a laser beam. I'm fairly annoying. And you need an element of annoyance to get ahead, but you can't be offensive except when you have a goal to accomplish. Now, when I say goal now, I'm talking about specific transactional things, not the big goals that I told you I just don't have. So you have to be like a laser beam. You have to be focused. I'm going to tell one story.
Yes, please do.
As people know, I'm a career political appointee that rose to the highest levels you can, and then, of course, became a consultant advising people how to deal with government. One day, when I was very young, I was wanting a job in the California state legislature. It's where I wanted to be. And I sent my resume to every member of the political party that I was associated with, every elected member, every single one of them. And I got a decline from most all of them, except for 3. Let's skip over the final 2 who offered me jobs and focus on the job I took. There was a elected member of the state legislature who later became a judge and ran for California treasurer, which is a constitutional office, and became city attorney of San Diego County. And he contacted me and scheduled an interview with me. And I drove down to a burrito joint in San Diego. And I met with him. I was there ahead of time and early. I was dapper in a suit. And he shows up at the table and he throws a pad of messages, handwritten staff messages from my phone calls that I left him to me. And he said there were, pardon me for forgetting, 41, 42, 43, 40 plus. He threw them at me and he said, I'm hiring you to get you to stop calling. And he sat down, we laughed, and I looked at this pile of messages, glanced at them, and I said to him, sir, these are the messages I left you. I left far more for your chief of staff. And these, of course, don't include the multiple faxes I sent that no one was returning my call. Well, thank you for hiring me. Shall we begin the interview? And we did. And he concluded with keeping his word. And I was on his staff for about 4.5 years and became his key primary staff member. He already had a chief of staff, but the chief of staff resigned. And ultimately, I replaced him by salary, not title, and then told the boss to give the chief of staff title to someone on staff that was always envious of me. I gave her the title, but I took the money. And she was flabbergasted. So the point of that story is I'm tenacious. I was going to call until someone told me not to call, until someone said, you're harassing us, you're bothering us. And there was a member that told me that. I wrote a scathing letter back to him, this elected member, but I only did that after I was hired with this wonderful gentleman, and I'll say his name because he's a public figure. His name is Jan Goldsmith, and he's a man, not a woman. So that's tenaciousness. So if you want something, stay focused. And let me tell you what that story means. It may mean many things to many people, but I'm going to tell you the point of that story. I called him 41, 42 times. I faxed. I called the chief of staff equally or more, because I know I left a message for the chief every time I left a message for the elected member and more. And I fiddled around with other ways of getting through to them. All I wanted was a job. I had set my resume and application because there was a position available. Here's the moral to the story. The fact that he didn't call me back for 5 months, despite all of that, is not indicative that he was not interested. He was interested. He was impressed. He hired me because of it. Okay? Very specifically. I'm not cavalier here. He told me so. And he used to, in his speeches, tell this story better than I can. But so my point here is that if people don't get back with you, whether you're buying a car, whether you're trying to accomplish a deal, whether you're, fill in the blank, okay? I can only think of my examples, but you all have individual lives. Here is what the solution is. Stay focused, stay persistent, and don't give up. And let me tell you something. Be demanding. Demanding is a critical component to success. Now, my mother told me something that is absolutely priceless. She said, Marcus, demand things, whether it's from your waitress or from your boss. But never be angry when you don't get what you want. Never. Be disappointed. It's okay to be disappointed, but don't be angry. Don't get mad. It's not worth it. So incorporating this philosophy of not getting angry, I don't believe I've ever hated anyone in my life. Not a single person. And I know because I've thought about this before and I've talked about it before. So it's established as empirical fact. I've never had hate in my heart. And I've had some pretty bad things happen to me by people, things people have said about me, true and untrue. I've never had hate. So that goes to don't get angry, just be disappointed. That's okay. And, you know, when you're disappointed and you share disappointment with people, guess what it causes? It causes empathy. and it causes positive reaction. Disappointment turns into positiveness. Anger and hate does not. Now, I know I'm mixing concepts up, but you have to be evolved and you have to be intellectually capable to understand this for it to work. Otherwise, we have to take too many steps back, and that would be a different video for a different viewer. But if you're got a hold of yourself, I'm telling you, stay focused, go do it, be persistent, and you'll get what you need. But you have to do your homework, and you have to come with strategic tactics. Without a tactic, then it's all luck. And you're talking to a guy who hasn't had significant goals in life or passion in life, but I've had very specific needs and demands, and I've wanted certain positions, certain jobs. I've been a career employee most of my life, a high-level paid career employee, until I became a consultant where I worked less and make more. But we're not just talking about work now. We're talking about relationships. So we can, and I'm making too long of a speech, but this is a good beginning.
I think it's an interesting thing with the success there. Let me tell you this. There's that's an interesting story. The noisy wheel gets the oil. And
a
I'm
smile,
quite interested.
and a smile with it. Yes.
The one who sent you that dirty reply, how did you respond to him? You said you wrote him a what did you say to him in the dirty reply?
It was an elected senator that left me a personal voicemail. And I almost fell over, and I had to think very long and hard. Am I going to respond to this? I have that letter in my desk in the other room. You know, I throw out all sorts of paper, but I've kept that. Maybe I should read it one day. But it was 3 pages. It went to him after I heard that message. He ultimately faded to oblivion. He was a very wealthy man who bought his way into public office in California, was not really a political person who was known because of his relationships. He bought them. And that's why he was arrogant and didn't. It's okay to be arrogant, but you have to be arrogant and rely on other people. He was just arrogant, and he was more narcissistic than confident. And I'm a confident man, and you can misinterpret narcissism with confidence. Somebody the other day who didn't know me well, but had to work with me, said, Marcus, you are narcissistic. And I said, no, I'm overconfident. And there is I have a minor in psychology. There's a clinical difference. And I know myself very well. But overconfidence can be misinterpreted for narcissism. You have to be very careful. Now, I have to exaggerate certain characteristics to make my points here in video as a performer, essentially, right? That's what we are, Archie. But that's how you do it. You know, Rush Limbaugh used to say, and certainly he was successful, Rush Limbaugh, whether you like him or not, he used to say, exaggerate your points to make a point.
Yes.
Don't lie, but exaggerate them. It will make people understand you better.
So tell me this, that letter you sent, what did you say to this guy?
Well, I
left you a very nasty. What did he say? Stop fucking calling me, Marcus. What did he say to you?
Yeah, he did say stop calling, but it wasn't the stop. That would have been, if he would have left a message, we've got your message, we have no job, you know, stop calling. That wasn't the message. It was aggressive and nasty and arrogant. And I wrote him a letter, and I told him that I didn't know how he could have gotten elected to the Senate when he's not qualified to be elected to dog catcher. And I wrote that letter. Oddly enough, years later, my boss, who I told you I got that job, and my boss was the second in command. You know, he was in leadership. This other guy was not. So I told my boss the story when I was comfortable with it, and he said, "Good for you. And by the way, my boss says to me, I didn't mention this to you, but he's brought you up in these card games we play. Apparently, my boss was playing card games with him, unbeknownst to me, on some evenings regularly. But he was just a terrible, terrible elected person. And when I was in office, I was a constitutional officer in California. What that means is there are 14 jobs in the state constitution. The governor was one of the jobs. One of the jobs was mine. And in between us, there were a whole bunch of elected and appointed jobs named in the Constitution. I was appointed, not elected. And in this high-level 14 jobs that are in California, I have a nice little badge to a police. It looks like a police badge. 14 of us got them, the governor, me, and a few others. Anyway, and I had multiple layered positions. But when I was in office, I had counterparts. I had 14 of them. Chief of staff to the governor would have been my counterpart, although he's not a constitutional officer. The deputy secretary of state, the deputy attorney general, the deputy treasurer, these would have been my counterparts. And all of them at the time were of the same party, were of the same political party. Didn't matter back then, but now that kind of thing does. That's why I mention it. And you couldn't get my counterparts to call you back. People don't return calls. You have to just call and be tenacious again. So I'm more responsive than most. Here's a key to success. Here's a big key. And I don't care if you run a pizza parlor or you're running a very multi-million-dollar business, you need to do something that's critical. You need to focus on your inbox. I say it metaphorically. You need to focus on who calls you and what they're saying, who writes you and what they're saying, who told you something, who told somebody who told you something through multiple parties, because the incoming is the most critical thing you can do. And then you can generate an outbox item with those items coming from the outside, coming from third parties. Here's the problem with most of these self-absorbed people who run offices and businesses is they only care about their outbox, and they generate it all from here or here, and they put it in their outbox without paying attention to others. A good politician, a good businessman takes advice. He gets opinions, and then he resolves those issues through third-party information, not just what he thinks is right. That's a key to success. It is really critical. And I used to tell my staff, focus on your inbox, not your outbox. And your outbox will become full if you pay attention to the people trying to reach you. And I used to tell my staff, you have to take some abuse from people who are upset with you at some level. You can't be a baby and a snowflake and say, you can't call me names. Of course they can call you names. They're paying your salary. And I don't care if they're buying burgers in your business or you're a public servant. They're paying your salary. You have to be accommodating. One day I had a credit card problem and I had to reach Jamie Dimon. We all know who that is. Look it up. He's been the president of everything. He's paid about $52 million a year, last I heard. And Jamie Dimon is successful, regardless of the fact that he might be a tool. Look that up. But he answered my call. I'm just a card carrier. And he took my call. And I said, Mr. Dimon, Jamie Dimon, who you can tell me, Archie, quickly where he's at. Is he running Citibank or is it
JP Morgan?
JP Morgan Chase right now. Okay, he moves around. Trust me, he's the head of everything. So good old Jamie Dimon took my call, and I said, Mr. Dimon, thank you for taking my call. I have a problem with my credit card. You can take 10 minutes with me, and I can explain it, or you can just pass me on to someone that you already know will help me. You pick. That's what I said. That was my opening line. He said, no, okay, Mr. Frishman, tell me what your problem is. I said, please call me Marcus, Mr. Dimon. He said, please call me Jamie. And then I told him my problem. He assigned a nice Indian gentleman to help me. You can accomplish anything but believe me, it wasn't as simple as looking his number up and calling the Chase bank line. Actually, he was a lower level employee at American Express. It was a long time ago, but he worked his way up. Let me assure you. So that is what I will tell you is some of the components of success. There are others as we talk. I'll bring them up. I don't want to.
It's funny you say this story. Can I share a story with you?
Yes.
Many years ago, I had 2 parcels that I sent by FedEx that went missing.
Mm-hmm.
And I complained, and then I decided to talk to Fred Smith. Fred Smith is the guy who founded FedEx. He recently passed away. God rest his soul. I never got the chance to talk to Fred Smith, but I spoke to his secretary. And what actually had happened was they had, and I put a lot of effort into it because these were 2 watches, 2 Rolexes that were stolen. And I then learned that they were subcontracted to Australian Air Express, which was another company that had, and they had lost them. And I remember speaking, it was actually quite, I would used to try and ring the top people at Australian Air Express. They wouldn't take my call. So I would immediately ring Fred Smith's secretary and say, they're not being helpful. They're avoiding my call as leverage. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, Archie,
and I remember,
they run the operation. If you can befriend a secretary or an assistant, and you can, I have an opening line for them. I say, look, we all know you're really running the show. And they laugh and they befriend you. Yes, the secretary, the assistant, exactly. In this case,
I had someone senior from Australian Air Express, and I don't know if you've studied any law subjects, but the first thing they teach you is, in a legal contract for couriers and for delivery services, it says we are not common carriers, meaning common carriers have a legal liability. We are not. We don't. So basically, if it goes missing, you're fucked, right?
Except one thing,
and
I don't know about Australian law, but in America law, those waivers that you didn't sign or that you signed and are illegal, the fact is, just because you waive it doesn't mean it's waived. Certain liabilities are not waivable under American law. And those lovely little leaflets they hand you at the car lot that says, well, everything's at your own risk if you lose something in your car. No, it's not. It's totally their risk. Those, whether you've signed it or not, it becomes inherently unfair under California and federal law, and so they're non-enforceable. You sue anyway, you get every penny, or you don't have to sue.
Let me finish my story. Anyhow, I had the head guy from Australian Air Express rang me, and I said to him, I don't think you understand what I want. I said, you think I want my money back. I said, I want you to be remembered as the guy who lost the FedEx account.
Yes.
I said, that's what I want. My job is not to get my money back. It's already gone. I said, if you want to shut me up, you give me my money back and I'll go away. Otherwise, I want to make sure you're the guy who's remembered as the guy who lost the FedEx account.
But not because you're full of hate or anger, but because it's the right thing. It's the exposing bad behavior is okay if it's accurate.
Anyhow, I didn't quite put it that way. I got my own slant. But anyhow, they ended up giving me my money back. They gave me more money than I actually had asked them for. But that's beside the point. But what I'm trying to tell you is, you are right there. You have to be tenacious. You've got to keep going. If you get one setback, you can't be. Let me tell you this story. I remember this. This is a story my father told me. He was going out. He used to lend money to business people, right? It was a development bank he worked for, right? And there was this one guy who was extremely unattractive, and he used to always go out to these nightclubs, and he'd ask these girls for a dance. And his attitude was he was one girl closer to somebody saying yes, every rejection. But I mean, it's very, very tough. You get so many rejections in a row, and it is very, it is very heartbreaking. You know, it can be very discerning.
You're
But
you're triggering a new success story and a component of success with women. I'm going to tell you a secret
yes,
that that guy could have done. So,
please,
but I'm going to tie it from business to personal. So I'm
sure,
about
sure.
15 or 16 years old. I think I was driving, so I was over 15 and a half. And I drove into West Los Angeles. I was invited to have lunch at the oh, forgive me for forgetting what the private lunch club was in the building in Westwood Boulevard in Wilshire, named after the Murdoch building, named after the Murdoch mogul. There's two Murdochs in America. So he's the media Murdoch. He built a building. He has a club, and I'm forgetting the name of it. And I was invited for lunch. On the way down, I'm 15 and a half. I'm in my suit, as I always was back then. And you know, I was going down this elevator many floors, and I recognized a man in the elevator, and it was a very well-known oil mogul, owner of Oxy Petroleum, and he had a very distinctive face and glasses. Why am I forgetting his name right now? The Oxy Petroleum mogul. Anyway, it will come to me in a moment. You can look it up, Archie. So I knew who he was. I mean, he's a billionaire. And I asked him what the key to success was in the elevator. And he said to me, son, introduces himself. He hands me his business calling card. He called it the calling card. And he said, where's yours? And I said, I don't have a calling card. He said, you need to get one, son, because my success is made through people I haven't met yet. If I only relied on people that I knew, I would eventually collapse and become poor. He told me that.
You're talking Vicky Holland?
No, go back further. No. Oh, Occidental Petroleum, the chairman, CEO, the founder, the owner, when it was owned by one.
Armand Hammer.
Armand Hammer. Thank you. And he's not named after you know, he bought the powder. What that stuff, you know, the baking soda. He bought it, but no, that wasn't him originally. Armand Hammer says to me, you become wealthier and you continue your success by people you haven't met yet. And you need calling cards for that, son. And he hands me his calling card. I have it to this day in the garage in some storage box. And I remembered that, and I left, and I immediately got a calling card with my name on it. And to this day, it was the first thing I always asked for or did whenever I got a position. And I want to tell you something, jumping ahead now many years, there was a Los Angeles Times story about me. It wasn't about me. It was about waste in government. And there were all these horrible, wasteful things going on, big dollar things in California. And somewhere in that story was the world's largest business card order. And it was mine, the official state of California business card order. They did a calculation and they said, this guy, and they mentioned my name and who I was, my position. We have figured based on this time in this position, he must be handing out 22 cards a day. Now, what they didn't know when they did that calculation was that my boss got so upset at the volume of business cards I needed, I wound up paying privately for a number of cards that were not in their calculation. So it was more than 22 cards a day. Now you might say, how do you do that? It's very easy. When you go to I'll just quickly answer that because people are going to say, I didn't hand out 22. Of course, I handed out more than 22 cards a day on average. You go to an event, and it's an event. It's a cocktail party. It's a dinner. You go around to the table. You just don't sit there like a lump. And everyone that you talk with, you hand a card to. Oh, by the way, talking to them, hi, I'm Marcus Frishman. Here's my card. And you move on. That's the least of the conversation. Usually it's more than that. But you hand a card to every single person you encounter. I handed cards. Now this goes back to the point. I handed cards to people who sold me ice cream. I handed cards to the gasoline guy who used to fill my tank up when I was a kid. We don't have people filling tanks anymore, right? But everyone got my card. And with regard to women, I would hand out, when I'm single, I would hand my card out to every woman that I would have an encounter of any sort at any level with, if I desired to get to know them. And they will call you. I wouldn't take a number. I had a rule. I never took a number. Now, that's another conversation. I didn't take numbers. I gave my number out. And if somebody wanted to reach me, they would have called me. I did not give my number to women. So that guy needs to get a business card, and he needs to hand it out to women, and he will be called, even if they don't immediately take to him, and he needs to do it in volume. That's being tenacious, and that follows the Arm & Hammer billionaire philosophy. Get a calling card and rely on people you don't know to make you successful in all components of your life, love and business and other.
It's funny you say that. A good friend of mine who's now departed, he died, he had a printing business. And he used to say to people, give them out to everybody. And not only was it good for his business, but he also, and he was very charismatic by giving them out.
I have 4 business cards now, and you need to have business cards that have a QR code on the back of them so that people can scan them into and link to your website. So you must, somebody's commenting business cards aren't used. Yes, they are. Now I'm in the, people say it's the 2nd largest city.
John sees a bit of a smart ass. That guy's
I'm in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is the freaking largest city in the world. We use business cards. Everyone does. I don't care if it's the hot dog vendor. He has a card. He just doesn't hand it out enough. Everyone has a business card that is at any remote level of success in the city and state of California, which is the 4th largest economy of the world. So it means something. I can't speak to other places, but I will tell you, they all have business cards, and they hand them out.
Let me ask you something.
Yes. They don't have, they don't hand them out. They should hand them out. Yeah.
What do you think of fake it till you make it? What do you think of that philosophy? Fake it till you make it.
I don't like the way it's phrased. Let's redo it. So you have to look successful when you're not. You have to sound successful when you might not be. Let's go to that. Success is judged usually based on the visual. It's very limited. It's not tactile, and it's not what you say. That takes too much time. You will be judged instantly. So I advise that you put on a snappy suit and tie. It depends what your gig is. Maybe you need a polo shirt and a blazer. But let me tell you, you must do something that's bold. You can't just be like everyone else. Why do you think I wear these shirts? These bold bowling shirts, Hawaiian shirts. And when I wear polos, I wear polo shirts. They're pastel in color. They're bright.
You want to stand out.
You have to stand out, and you have to make sure you have creases in your shorts and you're not wrinkled. You have to have a collar stay. You have to button your top button and tighten your tie and you have to be bold, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. It really doesn't. Sure, you can spend $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on a purple polo suit, or you can go to the Brooks Brother outlet and for $300, or you can go to an independent no-name outlet and for $150, you can get a nice suit, and you need to have that, and you need to be able to know how to dress. I wouldn't say dress for the occasion, because I'm not one that does that. I don't follow that. I dress for what I want. And I wear hard leather shoes with shorts. Why do I do that? Why would I wear penny loafers with a pair of khaki long shorts. Stands out. People say things about it. And it's never negative, even if they didn't like the way it looks. It comes off positive. So you need to do things that make you flare. Get a fancy pen. So when someone asks you to sign something, you're not using their Bic. And Archie knows all of these things. He just may not have told you it in one video. I know Archie knows these points.
It's a very good point, Stan.
Yeah. There's some guy here, he says, Archie, this guy must be paying Archie. Well, let me tell you something. I have given Archie one donation in my entire life. One.
I've got to tell you this honestly. I enjoy these interviews. I find interest. I got to tell you, let me say this to you, Marcus. I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass, but I'm telling you the truth. I've never met an individual like you.
Well, that's for sure.
And, you know, I like some of your politics.
And
you know I like some of
Archie. You know why? Why haven't you met someone like me? Because I'm Marcus Frishman and you're not.
Exactly. We've got a first super chat we've got here is Yankee Doodle, $5.
Yankee Doodle.
Marcus Allen Frishman, do you wear a 36 mil yellow gold president? Do you think wearing a 36 mil yellow gold Rolex president is tacky? Is it flashy? And just before we go, Yankee, he wears a solid gold 40 mil Submariner.
Right, Submariner. Today I'm wearing the glass shoe.
Glass shoe. Sea Dog. CQ.
Beautiful watch. So the answer is, let me go to that. Interesting story. So when my father bought me my 18 karat gold 1991 Cartier Moonface that I still have, I wore it every day for until 2005 when I bought my first Rolex. And then I never wore it again. I had it reconditioned, never wore it again. At least out of the house. You know, I put it on in the house. At that time, my best friend, who's still my best friend, his name is Travis. I won't say his first name. He's probably watching. Travis and I were deciding what watch shall we buy. He wanted the 30. Archie, was there a 38 millimeter in 91? 36 seems pretty small, but
no, 36. That was the size.
Okay, he wanted this 36 millimeter gold Rolex President with the white face and Roman numerals. That's what he wanted. I don't think it was Arabic numerals. He still has it to this day. But we debated. He said to me, "Why would you buy that Cartier?" And I said, "Well, why would you buy that Rolex? Everyone has that Rolex. Everyone of prominence has a Rolex, a gold Rolex. I'm going to buy the Cartier because less people have it. And it fits better under a dress sleeve because it was flatter. And I think it was the biggest watch mistake I've ever made. But I think I should have bought the gold President, which I think is.
Were they similar money?
The President was just hundreds, maybe $1,000 more. It was very little more. I'll tell you what I paid, but I got a discount now. I can't remember if this. I don't think this includes. I got a 10% discount. Cartier Beverly Hills. I paid about $13,300 for my watch in 1991. And I believe she gave me a 10% discount, the nice Asian manager there. But my friend still has his. He can't wear it. He's laughing right now. I know he's watching. He's laughing because he lives in West Los Angeles in a high-rise condo. And we all know we can't wear our watches around West Los Angeles anymore. Just can't happen. So I have to pull out the fashion watches. This is a Mont Blanc, and this is what I'll wear around town when I'm in West Los Angeles.
Is it that dangerous?
Well, they'll take it. They'll drive up. They'll bring out a gun and they'll take it. They'll target you and they'll get the watch. So I live in Los Angeles, but I live as far away from the center of town as you can get. I'm not rural, but I'm suburban, let's say, on the hillside, as far, really, literally, as far as you can get away from Los Angeles, but still being in the city of Los Angeles. 2 or 3 more blocks, I'm in Ventura County. I'm in rural greater LA. So, but my friend isn't. He lives with all the criminals.
But he still loves his Rolex.
He loves his Rolex. He has a Panda, and he has that. He has a old Tag Heuer. He's not a collector. He just has. Did
your Cartier ever help you in your career?
You know, I wore that Cartier, never took it off, Archie. Showers, the pool. I took it off to get batteries, and they make a whole production at Cartier about a battery. You have to leave it there for 3 days. Anyway, but no, people in those days, I took it off in 2005, and throughout all that period from 91 to 2005, people loved the watch. It was clearly a status symbol. Wearing a gold Cartier every day of your life.
See, that would have been smaller than 36. That's smaller than 36.
It is. It's a square. It's small, but
I know it's a Santos. It's a Santos moon phase. I know exactly what you got.
It wears large.
I actually had a 2-tone version of that.
I have the stainless steel version of that, but I bought it the same size in about 2002. So I have the stainless steel version as well, but it doesn't have the moon face. It's
no, I had the moon phase. That's right. That was an early 90s. I remember that. They were quite interesting watches. Actually,
I saw it being auctioned pre-COVID for $14,000. One in as good of condition as mine.
Marcus, it's an interesting story there. Success. Americans, why do they place such emphasis on the car you drive? Can I ask you that?
I'm not sure that applies to all communities. For instance, New York City, many wealthy people don't own a car. I know many.
No.
And when you're 16 years old in New York City, because I've hung with many 16, 17-year-olds in New York City when I was younger, they don't get a car when they're 16. But in California, at 15 and a half, you get your learner's permit and you get a car. Even in my day, even poor people got cars. Everyone got a car. And to this day, even the homeless have a car. So it's pretty well something in California that everyone has. And sometimes they have more than one. And you don't have to be wealthy to have a car in America because of the structure of finance and so forth. So, and used cars, you know, cars are cheap in Los Angeles, California. But it's a status symbol. I've always had a sports car. I've always had a flashy car. But I know people that are very wealthy who do not have anything flashy. They have, you know, reasonably priced transportation vehicles. And if that's what you desire, that's fine. You know, that's fine. But we were talking about fake presentations, and I would prefer you to people to just reek of success, even if you're not. And you do that in your physical appearance, okay? You've got to get a clean set of glasses. Don't use glasses that are all messed up. You know, it's very simple. You can even have 1 or 2 outfits that you use for the moments you need them. There are times when you want to dress down, when you want to be simpler, but that's also a uniform, we'll call it. When I buy a car, and if I don't buy it from someone that already knows me, I'm not walking in with my Rolex. Okay, it's just not a wise move. You're going to give a impression, whether accurate or not, that's going to hurt you. So remember, impressions also hurt you. Be very careful. We're talking about success today. Little tactics of personality, strategic moves regarding your dress, and how to be tenacious. And I'm telling you.
So let me ask you something. If you wanted to look successful, let's name watch, car, and appearance. Give me what car and watch and appearance should somebody have if you want to look successful?
Well, that goes to your budget, and that goes to your priorities. Some people can afford a Rolls Royce, and if you can,
it's funny, you know who used to drive around in a Rolls Royce? It was George Hamilton. You know, the actor George Hamilton.
Imelda Marcos used to call me Little George. Imelda Marcos was the former First Lady of the Philippines,
Yes.
who was my friend. Her husband, her son is now president, and she and I became friends because I was honored for saving the Philippine economy in 2023, and eventually was introduced to her by the Office of Foreign Affairs in the Philippines, and we alternated treating for lunch. She had 14 people with her, so she made sure she'd take care of those people when it was my treat. But she's wonderful. She has some health issues now. God bless this woman. She called me little George Hamilton. That's what, only because I was always tan. It was a thing. I have always been tan. I don't use what do they call tanning stain for your skin. I get a real tan. I get it professionally, and I get it once or twice a week since 1987. Okay, and I'm in the sun every day for at least 30 minutes, but I try to go to the pool, and that, of course, is extended sun. So I get lots of sun. My skin color is I'm very light and very faint. I could show my tan lines here, but I don't think we'll go there.
No, that's an interesting story there.
And my face is red. My face is a bit red because my background on my computer is red. People have said, why is this guy's face? Maybe it's a little bit of too much retin-A in combination with the sun. But we're not talking about skincare today. That's another day. But I do have a red screen, and my face comes off a bit red, if anyone asks. And, you know, there's somebody here. Here's a guy, P-A-L-W-E, Palawi. He hung with 16 and 17-year-olds as though that's a problem. Reminds me of a TikTok that got me in trouble once. A very short story, 10-minute TikTok. And I talked about my dating age, which was 13 to whatever age it was. We don't need to get into that. But the point is, I started the age at 13 because guess what? My first girlfriend was 13 plus. I was 15 and a half. We had a committed relationship for 2 years. And everyone went nuts thinking as an adult, I dated some 13-year-old girl. But had they watched the video to the point of 8 minutes and 25 seconds and listened to that almost 30-second story, they would have heard she was my first girlfriend when it was a contemporaneous age to myself. So please, you have to listen to what people say and not put words in their mouth or overreact. That's critical when we deal with online activity. Trust people. Listen to what they say. Disagree.
A big super chat, $50. Palagenic. Pelagic, $650. Look at this.
No, he's my hero.
Arch, come to Miami. Help me consolidate my watch collection. I'll treat you as a consultant. Come up this winter. Believe you me, I will consider that there.
That is a good place to live. I would love to go to Florida. I'm in the People's Republic of California, Pelagic 6. And you live in a free state. I would love to be there with you. My parents retired to Palm Beach, and 2 or 3 weeks a year for over 11 years, I lived there, which isn't a lot of time, but it's over a long time. So, and I went up to Miami. It's wonderful.
That is fantastic. Success. Tell me something. What's something you've learned in your life about success? What's the most important thing you've learned? Is success, is it a possession? Is it something you can own or buy, or is it a mind state? Mental situation.
It's a mindset. You can't buy it. Okay. There's so many. Here's another one. And everyone's going to go crazy on this. And everyone knows it already, but they don't know it till I say it. Here it is.
Mhm.
My mother, my mother was a wise woman, and I took some of her best advice. And she said to me, Marcus, you must be boastful. Boastful. You must. Now, most of us are told not to be boastful, right? We hear it. Don't be boastful. Don't brag. No, 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 no. Brag and be boastful. And I want to tell you why. You must be boastful. My mother said, if you don't tell, and let's define what that means, okay? Boastfulness is when you tell people or show people, fill in the blank to people, things that you're good at, things that you can do, or what you are. So it's everything from personality traits to skill sets to knowledge, and go on and on. It goes on and on. But the point is, if you don't tell people what is good and great and excellent about you, no one's going to know. And let me tell you, let me remind all of you, in job interviews, just as an example, we're using job interviews as an example, you're always boastful. All you're doing with a resume is saying how great you are. So don't put this advice down, because it's engraved. This is empirical fact. This is not an opinion I'm giving you. This is empirical fact. You must be boastful. You need to do it with women. You need to do it with employment. You need to do it when you want to sell a hot dog on the street. And let me tell you an example of boastfulness at a subtle level. When I was much younger, and Archie hasn't heard this story, I don't think I've ever mentioned it anywhere on social media. I don't think. My friend Jeremy, who's retired to Hawaii, selling ice cream, making a bloody fortune, living on a beach, in a beautiful beach house, and now he owns many residences in Florida. He may be a top 2%er. Jeremy and I, sold ice cream on the beach in the summer. Now, I didn't need to sell ice cream. I had a family budget.
Is he of Ben and Jerry's fame, this guy?
No, but he's big, and he then sold that company and started over and did it again, but this time in Hawaii. He's selling ice cream to hotels. But the point is, he and I sold ice cream on the weekends. We made $844 for Saturday and Sunday. We sold popsicles and ice cream sandwiches. We bought them for under $1. I'm sorry, we bought them for 13 cents and 10 cents, and we sold them for $1. So we did pretty well. We always sold the same amount, 840 change, because that's all I can fit in my car. And the point of the story is we were doing this on the beach in Santa Monica area, which is greater Los Angeles. And whether it took us 2 hours or 5 hours depended upon weather. But we would push this ice cream. We wouldn't just stand there and say, we have an ice cream. You can't sell a hot dog by saying, I sell hot dogs. We had to go up to people and say, look, this ice cream is 50 degrees below zero. I have in this box dry ice. Now, I'm not good at the pitch because it's been a few years, and I can't repeat it. But we practiced this, and we would talk about the components of dry ice, how cold it was. We'd bring that thing out, and we'd touch people's skin with it. And then they bought the ice cream. You have to push. You have to be demanding. And until they say no, you do it again. And that goes to my father's advice, which mostly applied to women, but I used it in all respects of my life. Until you're told no 3 times, you're not told no. Until someone says no 3 times, you keep going. Get 3 no's. I'm doing that right now with someone I'm working with on a client, and it's someone senior to me in the group I'm involved with, and I'm waiting for his 3rd no. And I think Monday on the Zoom call, I think I won't get it. I think I'm going to get a yes. It's an actual story. I can't tell you the details, but that's because I've been tenacious. I've been forceful, but I do it with a smile. And when he does say no a third time, I'm not going to get angry. I'm going to be disappointed.
What an amazing story. Yankee Doodle, $10. What is the best way to look understated rich? I'm also not sure how to dress daily, as I find wearing a suit and tie old school and stuffy. Give me some ideas.
Okay. Based on your guideline, you have to be yourself. Okay. So if you don't feel suit and tie is right for you, you can never wear it. I will tell you where I hang, that's a problem. So let me put out a footnote that you may have to overcome that. Okay. Because I'm telling you where I come from, where I'm at, what I do, and it's a massive industry, both socially and work related. I better have a tie and a jacket, and there better not be a sport coat. Okay. It's got to be a suit. Now, the only adjustments I've made is I go pinstripes. I go bold and dynamic. But with regard to your restrictions, I'd say you must find your style. But here's the critical part. I'm going to have to make things up because I don't know your style. If you're simply a polo shirt and blue jean guy, you need to find the best damn blue jeans you can get. I don't mean by price. I mean by look. It has to be a look. You don't have to go spend a Ralph Lauren polo shirt, although nowadays I think you can find the Chinese version. But you can go to those men's stores, and they have some very high quality foreign-made products that are knits just so beautiful. So the key, but you gotta get the right color. Don't be drab. And then let me throw this out at you. If you're completely hopeless, women do have a sense of style that's innate that men don't have. Now, I'm a metrosexual. You can look that up if you don't know what it means. And therefore, I have the certain innate feminine qualities, notwithstanding the fact I'm fully heterosexual, always have been. So if you don't have that, ask a woman. She'll know. And by the way, the reason certain women get hired in certain boutiques, and I say boutiques because if you walk into Macy's, you're not going to get style advice. But if you go into a small boutique men's store, they hire people that are trained. They train them. They know their stuff. Maybe Nordstrom's, there's a brand, a large store that would have people hired that know their stuff. Go in and ask them to help you. But pick something you like. And if you want to ignore stuffiness, that's fine. Make sure what you're going after will accept you in your look.
We've got MT85 has gifted 10 ArchieLuxury live stream memberships. Thank you so much, MT85. That is absolutely incredible. I got to tell you, Marcus, the advice you've given tonight would sell for thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars. And
technically, I bill $850 an hour at minimum. I hope to make more than that with clients. But here I am, free of charge, and one donation to Archie, just to clear the, publicly clear the record.
Yeah, yeah. But I must say, Marcus, I enjoy talking to you.
I'm glad to be here.
You are a live wire. You are an inspiration. I got to be honest with you. Why do I do this show with Marcus? It's to inspire the upcoming generation. And I very much consider Marcus to be a dear friend. I hope
Archie,
you feel the same way there.
Can I interrupt you and make a plug? I'm seeing somebody named John C. saying Naked Onion Mystery Tours, a podcast for women. You're not wrong, dude. That's actually solid advice. That podcast interviewed me once. They were, as I recall, and one of the leads was a lady named Edith. I met them on TikTok. She's a lifelong friend now. And while they are liberal, I'm a conservative, and while they are very extreme, some of them feminists, I'm more of a traditional feminist. I'm very much against I studied feminism and support Camila Paglia and Dr. Tony Grant. I'm a student of both of those feminists. This group sometimes has something wise to say, and they're saying I'm putting in a plug for the Naked Onion Mystery Tours podcast. Thanks for joining us.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Marcus. I want to thank our donators today. We had Yankee Doodle, Pala Jack, thank you so much, $50. Yankee Doodle again, and MT85. We have had some amazing streams, and this has been one of the best streams. Marcus, we will see you next week. I will give you more notice. I do apologize.
We will.
I am staying here for 3 weeks. I'll be here a bit longer. Marcus?
Archie, you are the pontiff, but you know what? I'm Marcus Allen Frishman,
Yes,
and you're not.
Exactly. See you next week. Thank you so much. I'll run the...
Hi guys, it's ArchieLuxury. Guys, I want to talk to you about David SW. David SW, David SW. Guys, if you are in America, if you are looking for a Rolex watch of your dreams, in fact, if you're looking for a contemporary modern wristwatch, I strongly advise you to look at David SW. Guys, don't play the dealer games. Don't bring in chocolates or Krispy Kremes for your dealer hoping to get a Rolex at retail. It's futile. Please, guys, save your dignity. Keep some pride. Go to David SW. I would highly recommend David SW, David SW. If you're in America and you're looking for a watch, go to David SW, David SW, David SW.
Well, we did another
Good
one.
work there.